And we are live.
And there's a few comments already, as always.
Oh my.
So what do we got going on here?
Well,
We'll see over at my neck of the woods. We got Anthony Mark saying he truly loves the animated series. It was he's super excited for this live stream. It was the first Star Trek content he consumed as it aired. So
oh,
that's
wow.
cool.
I watched it as it aired as well, and man, I loved the show when I was a kid. So
Just on Do Not Disturb.
now it's kind of the acid trip of Star Trek.
Oh, it's a trip.
Yeah.
That's, acid trip is one way of looking at it.
Who else we got here?
Always
So-
Danny's mom,
Well, of course.
who won't stop using emojis to spell people's names.
We need to break her of that.
Yeah. Let's see. And then the ever-present Thomas Potts never one to pass taking a shot at Jason.
Oh, no, I am not passing on any. Jason did his homework.
Yeah. He actually watched over half the episodes.
Yeah, I did.
Right on. And then who else? We got 47 Yorktown. Says good evening from the Canadian Far East. Right
The
on.
land of half-hour time zones.
We got Mike Richards here
Yeah.
Best
saying
thing to come
Zort.
out Best thing to come out of Columbus, Ohio.
We got Planet X. Says he's only seen the series a couple of times and it's been years since he's watched the episode, so sadly he probably won't do much voting tonight. And then Ben One Eye, just saying, hey guys, what's up? I think I
Hey,
covered.
Ben. I
pretty
gotta
much
ask
everybody
Ben,
here.
why is your name Ben One Eye? Because at least your picture doesn't show a person with one eye. So,
No, Sign Book Collector says your audio is slightly low. Just might be slightly off axis.
Yeah, it's because the microphone's in a weird spot right now. I'll
Yeah.
try to project as much as I can.
There you go. Well, that sounds better.
All right, so today we are going to be ranking every episode of Star Trek the Animated Series, all 22 of them. Some of them are some of the best episodes of Trek there's ever been. Some of them melt your brain.
And some of them really ruin continuity for other shows that came later.
Absolutely. Yeah, suck on that, all you TNG fanboys thinking you came up with the holodeck.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, you need to watch The Practical Joker.
Yeah.
So, and so going into this, Danny, what's your overall thoughts on the animated series?
Well, I've always said, even though it's been an argument between, and I actually think Brian over at Popcast has conceded this argument, but I've always felt this was canon. I've always felt like this was seasons 4 and 5 of the original series.
Sorry,
Oh shit,
Arabic.
Arabic. I'm sorry, buddy. I must have missed you. But I found this. I like the animated series better than I like TOS season. So
Oh, whoa, you broke up. Try that again.
That's because he was speaking blasphemy, I believe. So God was striking him down there from the internet.
You like this better than
I
what?
said season 3.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if I would go that far. I mean, it's definitely better than a lot of the bad episodes.
Yeah, well, the bad episodes in season 3 are pretty
But
bad.
this has also got, I think, the worst episode of all of TOS, and that would be the Magics of Megas 2.
So I was about to say there's only one bad episode, and it's that one.
I think there's more than one.
There's definitely a couple
Nah.
more.
Nah. Yeah, well, that's why it's called Nerd Fights.
Yeah, and yes, Dan, the voice cast was the most expensive part of the show. That's why it's kind of sad that Walter Koenig was not part of the cast, and it's because they just couldn't afford him. And it's not the
He did
Koenig-
he did
He did-
write some episodes, I
He
believe.
Yeah.
wrote one episode, I believe. But
Just one? Okay.
Yeah, but but yeah, they just couldn't afford to put everybody on, and somebody had to be cut, and it ended up being Walter, which
Well,
is
you
too
know.
bad.
He wasn't part of the first season cast, so there you go.
So,
Okay.
So he had to be missing from the start and the finish. I don't know. I'm just trying to find.
He was the most expendable. Everybody else had been there longer.
Yeah, he wrote the episode "The Infinite Vulcan."
yes, which we will get to.
Yeah.
But the first episode we're going to talk about is not the Infinite Vulcan. It is the aforementioned The Practical Joker.
What? Oh, yeah, that's right, because they're not going to be in
They're
order.
in random order.
Yeah. Random.
And
Why?
thank you for subscribing, Nia.
I wish he put them in order, but that's fine.
Well, you know what? I just upload the things, and it puts them in a random order. I can't control that.
Yeah, it's very
And I'm not-
non-compliant.
Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately,
Yeah, I don't believe that
This
this
is a season. This is a freaking season 2 episode.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, of the whopping 6 episodes that we're in, or 8
really, yeah,
episodes.
it's not season 2. It's just the.
I think it's only 6
episodes.
episodes.
6 episodes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like this is the second half of season 1.
yeah, exactly.
So this one also, by the way, suck on this. People that think that Discovery did anything original. The Enterprise just suddenly becomes sentient because they went through some weird anomaly.
Do you think Discovery was a happy accident, or do you think somebody in the writers' room was like, "Hey, man, remember this episode from the animated series?"
Well, it wouldn't surprise me because one of the things I noticed watching through all of the episodes, or the rest of the ones that I hadn't seen yet, is that there is no question that some of these got made into live action content down the road. And this passing through the cloud with the Enterprise feels suspiciously like inspiration for Picard being possessed by the thing in the energy cloud from that episode of season 2.
Yeah.
So I want to address Anthony Mark's question here. He asked, "Is it correct Shatner and Nimoy lobbied to get more cast members to do voice work?" And that is in fact true.
But they only had so much budget.
Yeah.
And so, it
Well,
is-
considering they've hired Filmation, that tells you how little budget they had.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, back to the Practical Joker. So the Enterprise. What's the official description of it?
The official IMDb description is: the computer of the Enterprise gains partial sentience and a taste for playing practical jokes on the crew. And the storyline that was written up by somebody else that it got tagged as the right one to use is: in the midst of a standoff with the Romulans, the Enterprise's computer system gains partial sentience, and with it starts playing practical jokes upon the crew, which leads to a dangerous life and death battle with Romulans.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not an inaccurate description. I think I don't know. This is going into the long list of episodes of Star Trek that talk about maniacal AI.
Yes.
And it's
Yes.
just like, oh my goodness, like, can we this at this point you could almost accuse Star Trek of being as lazy as every Bond villain always wants to use a nuclear weapon against the world.
Right. So where would you put this one?
Well, I just want to throw out there, fun fact, it might even be in every episode. So one of the guys that runs Filmation, Lou Scheimer, because they were so low budget, he would often lend his voice to other characters. So he is he's in this one, he's the Romulan crewman. But he pops up a lot doing random voices. And sometimes he'd even get his kids to do voices, so he wouldn't have to pay him or anyone else.
Gotta love illegal child labor for the win.
Yeah, right.
Which
Just a fun. I got a cool book around here somewhere, full of. In fact, I need to grab it. Full of really cool factoids.
I actually do as well, thanks to certain Potts. And Thomas says he would not have needed to look it up.
Yeah, well,
Hold up one second.
Thomas is God.
So wow, really?
Well, my vote on this one would probably be an A. But while I grab that book, I'll be right back. You guys discuss.
Yeah.
I think A is a little high.
I think it's kind of a B for me.
Yeah.
It wasn't terrible, but I can't really go past
It was
a
a
B.
decent. It was a decent original series episode. But it wasn't a standout original series. Like if you're just judging it next to all of the original series, it's
Yeah.
good, but it's not great.
No, and it's another AI.
As I walked away, I could hear you say you thought A was a little high.
Yeah, B is where I would go with it.
Oh, wow.
at the
Yeah, I'll go with
most.
B because the votes coming in are C's. So,
Yeah.
well, I got the book, but I also found another book I've been meaning to talk to you about because I think this would be loads of fun. I have a Star Trek trivia book that has 2,500 questions in it.
Oh goodness.
It would be awesome. We could do
Is
like
it
a
questions
trivia
about the
game.
original series or about
Well, it's got the original
See,
series.
I'll kill you in the original series, but when
Hold
you
up,
start-
it's got the original series, Voyager, the Next Gen. Whoa, what's that noise?
I don't know. I was just gonna ask them the same thing.
My phone probably too close.
Yeah. Well, stop doing that.
So
It's
there's,
as far away as it normally is, but for some reason
So
tonight it's
here we
angry.
go. It's got the whole thing. So the original series, Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, Enterprise. Yeah, and then it's got other things where it's like based on the films, characters, cast and crew, alien races, cultures and planets, ships and technology, cosmic phenomenon. But anyways, one of these days we should do something with this because it's 20. That's a lot. 2,500. We could get loads of content just out of this book.
Yeah.
This is the book I was talking about for today's show.
Yeah, I have that.
Yeah, that one.
I have
yeah.
that. I have that same book.
Yeah.
So
All right.
B. Oh, Gorilla has joined us. What's he got to say? Hey, Anthony agreed. He said B plus. Gorilla says, "Hey, I'll be listening while on the road. Now, don't rank something so atrocious that I have to pick up the phone because I'm not stopping." Got that, Danny? Oh wow. Okay.
And Arabic, we did include some of the animated series in the music rankings.
Yes, we did.
You weren't paying attention, buddy. All right. Speaking of not paying attention, somebody was not paying attention to the "don't take drugs" when they wrote this episode.
Oh, which one is this?
Ben,
Oh, jeez.
the guy that disassembled.
splits himself into pieces.
Yeah.
This episode was
No disassemble number 5.
so stupid.
Well, here's the funny thing. This episode clearly inspired the TNG episode Justice with their god protecting them and all that. You don't remember the
guess.
god hovering over the planet that was going to...
Are you talking about the one that was like the space station looking
The
thing?
one we just
Yeah.
where they test.
No,
their, like,
TNG.
Yeah.
Oh,
TNG. Yeah. Yes. The god that looked like a space station
Yeah.
that was protecting the innocent people on the planet.
I
The only
remember
difference is,
I remember hating the episode.
Right, but just replace those people with, horny women. And,
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ben, what the heck were they thinking?
I don't know. This was a bad episode.
Wow, you guys are being way more harsh
No,
than me.
I was watching this and I was like, none of this is like it didn't make any sense.
Ben One Eye says D. Signed Book Collector says D, and he's being generous. Thomas is saying
Yeah,
D.
I'm very D on this one.
Whoa. No, this doesn't get the D. This does not get the D.
Well, give me an argument why I should go higher then, Danny.
Because it's... Is it Star Trek?
That is not an argument.
That is an invalid argument. All right, fine.
By that argument, the Discovery should never get a D.
Oh gosh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a bad episode.
As we just reviewed yesterday, another Star Trek episode that dealt with God, or not episode, but movie, seems to be a reoccurring thing.
It tends to get brought up, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
Whether it's, Ardra coming back after 1,000 years in TNG,
or Apollo,
or this, or
Yeah. All right, and so now one that absolutely okay.
Do you know who played the voice of God, by the way?
In that episode,
and the one you just gave a D.
I don't remember if it was Majel or Nichelle, one of the two.
It was Nichelle Nichols.
Yeah. It's always one of them when it's a female voice. I mean,
it's either Majel or it's Nichelle. Yeah,
every female voice is those two people.
There's anyway. Who wrote this research department before we move on?
Bem.
Yeah.
Bem was written by David Gerald and DC Fontana.
Wow, DC. You
DC.
let yourself go.
I was expecting it to be.
She was. Oh no. The writer was. See, I always hate the way they do this on the generic page for each episode. So David Gerald is the actual writer, and
Didn't
DC.
He write some other Trek though.
DC was only the story editor.
Right, but Gerald doesn't he do other Trek?
He did 3 episodes of the original series. Mud, Trouble with Tribbles, and The Cloud Minders.
Okay.
Which is kind of funny because those are all actually reasonable episodes.
Yeah. But
he was part of the rewrite on Mud, so he didn't get a real credit for that.
Acid. He was like, "What if a dude's head could just float around, man?"
You know what's cool? I didn't realize this book did this until just now. Captain's log, stardate 7403.6. The Enterprise is on a series of exploratory and contact missions. I won't keep going, but I think that's cool. I didn't realize they had the captain's log.
Well, you sound nothing like Shatner, so
that's totally not true. I get told all the time, even when I'm not trying to sound like Shatner, that I sound like Shatner.
You don't sound a thing like Shatner.
When he really is dialed in, he can manage to nail the cadence. That's for sure.
Well, yeah, but there's a difference sounding like.
Yeah, but his voice is just is deeper. It's better. It's a better depth of voice than I have for it. So. Anyway, Michael, one of the things when we were trying to do some watch recordings of this, we quickly realized that there's definitely a little bit too much tentacle noodliness going on.
Yeah, there are a lot. There are a lot of tentacles.
Oh man, this show is questionable as to whether or not it really should be for kids at some point.
Keep watching the series of shorts I'm putting out because I will be pointing out every episode that has tentacles.
I told you it was a lofty goal. You didn't even get one out today. I was really looking forward to watching it.
That's not true. I published one today.
I didn't see it. Let me look. Really? I didn't see it. Because I was looking for it.
I absolutely put one out today. Now you got me worried like it didn't publish or something. So let me go to my channel.
Yeah, it didn't. The Lorelei signal is not from today. Yeah.
Shorts. What the heck happened?
Yeah, I told you so.
No, the Lorelei signal was today.
Oh, it is today's? Okay.
Is that today's?
Yeah. Oh. The one where they get old?
Yeah.
Did I like that?
That was the one with the ladies that was trying to steal all their life.
I hate that. Listening to Majel Barrett hum like that just
breaks your head.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Anyway, so let's continue on.
So yes, next.
Carry on, my wayward son.
Okay, so this next episode.
Is it going to be another season 2 episode? Because I'm noticing, although somebody in the chat pointed out, it's not actually randomizing them; it's releasing them in alphabetical order.
But you see, the file names are not the way the file names are. They should actually be in the correct order, but they're not. Yeah. Okay. So, and they're not all in alphabetical order.
Actually, and that's true because we would have got Albatross.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyway,
it's going to be Beyond the Farthest Star. Is that what we're getting next?
No, this one is. It's not a bad episode. It just pisses me off so much. And I was talking to Jason about this before you got here.
Oh no.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Wait. Danny, what is the name of this episode?
The Pirates of Orion.
No, that's the problem.
What's the name of the episode?
It's the Pirates of Orion.
Literally,
looks like Orion.
It is Orion.
Yeah,
but everybody mispronounces it.
Everyone.
I've never heard anybody
And
call
in
it
fact,
Orion. I mean, you have the Orion slave girls from the
Yeah,
earlier.
but literally the entire voice cast of this episode all say it wrong.
Yeah,
Everyone.
they all
It's
say
so
Orion,
bad.
and the Orions also say Orion. And the stupid thing is that they even have direct reference to Journey to Babel, because that was when at the end of that, when Spock said that the ship that attacked them was Orion.
Yeah.
And so they were mentioning that in this as a reference to the people they were talking to, but now instead of Orions, they're Orions.
Also, we're pretty sure that the inspiration for the Shrike came from this episode.
Yes, the Shrike was definitely in this episode.
Fascinating.
The Orion ship is the Shrike.
Yeah.
So yeah, they had way too many Orion cookies. I agree, Ben. I don't know what the heck was going on with the reading of the script. Now, also the fact that Dr.
How does not one person correct their pronunciation out? And like the script read before they even do the voice booth? You know?
I think what happened was, because this did happen a few times with the animated series. This is probably one that Shatner phoned in. And so then they heard the way he pronounced it, and they're like, well, I guess we got to call it Orion because he's not going to re-record it. And so that's the only thing that makes sense to me. But yeah, it's not a bad episode. Aside from the mispronunciation and the fact that Dr. McCoy is a dumbass.
Yes.
Well, and there's a mass suicide, so there's that.
Wait, mass suicide?
What? In this episode?
What do you...
Well, I mean, not intent. Never mind. I just mean that they don't the pirates die in this episode?
No, they don't. They say they will, because they will never surrender and but they don't actually die.
But Bones is a dumbass because he doesn't quarantine
Spock when there's an outbreak of a disease that's only fatal to Vulcans.
Yeah.
And I mean, even the opening, well, you know, the outbreak of this is not really such a big deal because it's really, you know, we've cured it a long time ago.
Yeah.
Oh, no, Spock has it and he's going to die.
Yeah. Yeah, the very opening scene is him collapsing on the bridge, basically.
Yeah.
Written by Howard Weinstein, directed by Bill Reed.
It's like a C, B, C for me.
I would tend to go low B as opposed to C, but Danny, what do you think?
Well, this is going to be one of the ones I actually didn't get to rewatch. I know I've seen it before, but I didn't get I just ran out of time. So I don't know. What's the chat saying? What do you guys think in the chat?
Doesn't seem to be really remembering this episode.
Not a lot, but Ben One Eye has a solution for the naming problem.
Yeah.
What's that?
They had too many Orion cookies.
Orion cookies. I don't know, man. I want to say C, but
Thomas did say C. Oh, Anthony says C.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, Captain Fandom Nerd is actually agreeing with you guys and saying B, but
well, just me. I'm the only one that said.
Yeah,
B.
I was more towards the C side of things.
Oh, okay. Well, then C's where it's at.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So next up is if there was an episode that was an acid trip put on screen, it's this episode.
Didn't you already say that?
No, but this one really is. The Eye of the Beholder. Read the description of this episode, season 1, towards the end.
The Eye of the Beholder. While investigating the disappearance of Federation members, Kirk and his landing party find themselves placed in an alien zoo.
Yeah. Which, by the way, Orville ripped off this episode. But the aliens were giant slug elephant things.
They look like Snuffleupagus without the fur.
Right.
Yeah.
And they moved around like slugs. And they did have they really weren't trunks like an elephant. They were more like tentacles.
Tentacles.
And
Yeah, yeah.
they wrapped their tentacles around people and carried them around with them. And their brains were so powerful that it made Spock scream in agony and his brain melted. But Scotty could control one of them.
Yeah. Oh, and don't forget, Bones is apparently made out of unobtainium because a giant dinosaur tail wasn't heavy enough to crush him to death.
That's true. Yeah.
Well, maybe they're sluggy. Like maybe they're like not. I don't know. They're squishy.
Arabic says this one gets an A.
Well, I was gonna say B.
Yeah, it's like
But
a weak
I
B.
wouldn't argue it. Oh wow. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, it's like a weak
B.
B for me. Like I would almost punch it in the face with a C, just on the fact that it's just leaning so hard into the noodly appendages nonsense in this series. But
okay, so I guess one bonus point for me because it makes Scotty even more of a badass. Because Scotty one punches augments. He's hit by Apollo's full force twice and lives. He's killed by Nomad and comes back from the dead. And now he has a brain that can outdo Spock.
yeah,
So yes, Scotty is Star Trek God. That's all there is.
Well, or he is powered by scotch. He just was,
Yeah. He has so much scotch in his brain that it actually made sense when he was trying to.
fueled
Yeah.
by scotch.
yeah.
And next up, your favorite, the Jihad.
Not my favorite.
What's the official description of the Jihad?
Where it is here.
Birdman is a traitor. That's what it is.
Yeah, that's what it's called. Okay. Harvey
A
Birdman.
team comprising various experts, Kirk and Spock among them, must recover an artifact known as the Soul of the Score. The Birdman guy. The theft must be kept secret or a galactic holy war could break out.
Yeah. A jihad, if you will.
Yeah. I don't know who thought they were being crafty with this, but man.
And I agree, Alex. This was a Lord of the Rings ripoff. It really was. Let's get together the Fellowship and send them on a quest. The only difference is the Fellowship. Well, actually, they did have a traitor in their midst, technically. So, yeah. So,
By the time I got to the end of this episode, I was like, no, this is like swinging for the defenses.
There was yeah.
Yeah, the Birdman was a traitor. You don't remember? You okay, Danny?
Yeah. I just said there was a. Oh my God, you're killing me. Where'd you get these images from?
Same place as the others. These are
Oh,
more. Yeah,
that's more of him. Oh man, I would have made a better thumbnail. I didn't realize he did these. Also, oh bummer.
So you said A, right?
Nope.
Yeah. Okay.
No.
Signed book collector says it's a C. He said
I would agree.
I would
I would go with C. What did you say?
I wouldn't. I said I was swinging for the defenses for me, but C would be fine. I could take a C.
All right.
Well, you got to remember they were trying to sneak in things to kids, with this. And in this one, this is a not so subtle. I mean, it's called the Jihad. So, I mean, like this is probably the first time kids ever.
Yeah, but it's not like this has Muslim overtones or anything. It doesn't.
No, I didn't say it did.
Well, I'm just saying, I don't think they're getting into any kind of like weird territory there. I just think that the
let's see. Thomas says C. Alex says Lord of the Rings ripoff. Signed book collector says C. Anthony Mark says D. Yeah, no. So these are Juan Ortiz posters again.
Yes.
Shit, man. I would have made a better thumbnail. I didn't know. I only had the one book, so I was unaware he did he must have done everything then. That's a lot of work.
Yeah, well, that's what he does. If you get paid enough money,
And he's officially licensed, so I'm sure he gets paid a lot of money.
Yeah, I'm sure he gets a ton. The slaver weapon, which of course makes it official that the Larry Niven Ringworld universe is part of the Star Trek canon. which I thought was really interesting.
I see.
In what respect, though?
What's his name? The Kazinti.
Yeah.
He's right out of Ringworld.
Oh, okay.
The furry space creature guy.
Yeah,
with
Yes.
like sort of cat-like dudes.
Yes, those are a race from Ringworld. And Larry Niven wrote this episode.
What was Ringworld again? Refresh my memory.
It's a book series.
Oh, okay.
It's up there with like iRobot and Foundation.
Yeah, I think Ringworld was like a co-job too. It's like Larry Niven and another guy that they worked together to write a lot of them. The author of the book, the Mote in God's Eye.
Yeah, so don't think Halo was anything original.
No, I knew that.
No. Well, I probably would normally want to give this a B, but Captain Kirk wasn't even in it. So that takes the whole point off for me.
Wow, really?
I mean, Captain Kirk, how do you have a Star Trek episode without Captain Kirk? I mean, he could have just have him sitting on the bridge, for crying out loud. They didn't even do that, But I'll let you gentlemen,
I like this one. I was thinking A, but I mean, if you want to go B, I understand. But...
I wouldn't go higher than B. I mean, I know it's science fiction book writing.
Well, this is real science fiction in this one.
Yeah, but just the way it ended up getting transformed into this just was clunky.
All right. Speaking of clunky, I think that's a good description of this one. The ambergris element. This
is the Star Trek Aquatica.
Yeah. What's the official description on this?
While the Enterprise investigates a water world, Captain Kirk and Commander Spock go missing. They've been abducted by the world's inhabitants and are altered into water breathers.
Yes.
It's like Life Aquatica before it was a movie.
Yeah. And it's like, wait a minute. So these people can just like, I guess, well, the Doctor in Voyager can turn people from salamanders into people with a shot. So why not?
Yeah.
But yeah, this episode just never made a lot of sense to me. What are you thinking, Danny?
I don't know. I'm thinking C.
Yeah, that's.
Alex says B. Ben One Eye says D. Thomas says B.
I would go with a C myself.
Wow, you guys are being harsh today.
Yeah. I think part of the problem with some of these episodes is that the stories they're trying to do not fit in 20 minutes.
Signed book collector says F. No, that's a really good point. They didn't have enough time to tell a story.
But they also, I mean, that's the thing about the animated series, though, is that overall the animated series just constantly was swinging for the fences with these ideas.
Well, that's because a lot of these were repurposed scripts that were going to be live action original series shows.
Yeah, and then you got to find a way to squeeze it down.
But none of these would have worked as a live action show.
Some of them would have.
Yeah, but most of them would not.
No.
Like Ben, you could never do.
No.
You could do it today, but you couldn't do it back then.
No.
Well, you could do Yesteryear for 100% sure.
Yeah, but there's a lot of them you couldn't do.
Yeah.
The Territon incident. This is one that I keep blocking out. I remember it starts out with them getting a message that says Territon, but I don't. And then they go there and they find people, but I don't remember what happened.
84.
Oh, this is the foolish one that had it had everything got super tiny and
that's right. Had the little tiny city there.
Yeah, everybody was going to get turned into GI Joe guys, except the starship doesn't change size.
And then there's this funny
tiny city, and
Sulu breaks his leg trying to get to a button.
Yeah, Yeah.
Okay.
And there's like magic spiral fractures in all the dilithium crystals, and I, it's not bad. It's a cute episode in a certain kind of way.
This is another one you could have never done in live action.
Not back
Why
then.
not?
In 1970,
Yeah, you could never have done this. The cost to build the sets.
It would have looked like crap.
It either would have looked like 1981 Spider-Man, or it would have cost a fortune.
Yeah.
Because they could have just build a bigger set to make the people.
That's what I mean.
tiny.
The cost would have been enormous to do
you know how
that.
much that would cost for a TV episode?
Clearly, I don't.
Well, remember they kept changing size. You'd have to keep building multiple different sizes
you
of the
need to
set.
build
So
at least 3 or 4 versions of it.
yeah, and nobody had the skill to do perspective filming back then, so it just would never have worked.
All right.
However, I mean, this is. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this is one of the episodes.
Oh, you're a little too far away from your mic.
Can hardly hear you.
Sorry. This is one of the episodes, plural, where the transporter fixes it.
I was just about to bring that transporter up. Yeah.
You know, it's funny.
It starts with Kirk.
It's funny, and one of the thoughts I had when they did that in this episode was, why did they have to take so long in TNG in the writer's guide to disallow transporters being used as resurrection devices?
Yeah.
Because they didn't actually make that change in the writing guide for the stories until after that episode of TNG where they beamed Picard back out of the cloud into the last pattern version of him. And, ta-da, we saved his life.
Yeah, now we can fix anything.
Yeah. Now, I would actually be willing to give this a B because for all the episodes, I actually found this one to be the most fun for someone that would be younger. Because it's kind of goofy with like the little people trying to climb on the big things. It's a little bit more relatable because kids are physically smaller in the world that we operate in and, have a harder time. And at least for me, I was a big fan of the storybooks, The Littles. I don't know if you ever read any of those, but they did eventually make a TV show out of them in the 80s. But it was these little tiny peoples that lived in the walls and used all of our junk to, build their society.
Oh, wow. So I'm just reading the little factoids in this book here. They got a section called Canon Alert. This episode actually gets, most episodes only get 2 pages in this book. And this episode gets 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pages.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. So this is Canon Alert. Earth colonists lost for 200 years. The Terratons' origin was utilized in Star Trek Enterprise episode Terra Nova, which saw the beginnings of the Terra colonization program. The Terratons named the planet they settled on Terra 10, which is how they became known as the Terratons.
Which they actually do talk about in this episode too.
Yeah. But it's cool that
So they actually got one thing right.
That means the Enterprise writers actually watched the animated series.
Not entirely. You wait until we get to the last episode of the animated series. There's a giant problem.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All right. So where are we going to put the Territon?
I'm fine with putting it as a B because I found as far as it being technically a kids show, it's the most kids appropriate and friendly, and it was goofy, but I didn't mind it.
That's actually what the book says here. The headline on this page, something for the kids, because all the other episodes they said they didn't want to talk down to kids or write to kids.
Yeah,
Which they definitely managed that. So for the most part, this show, the writing was, because considering we're just ranking these right along as if they were regular episodes of Trek. And the fact that they're not getting S's and A's, but the fact that they're doing okay, and it's just a kids show. Like imagine if we were ranking SpongeBob on the same scale as Star Trek.
Yeah.
F. So
Hey, lovely Sherry. Welcome to the party. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot to put out the damn tweet. I'm sorry.
Of course you did. But you know what you didn't put out? The time trap.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. The only other episode before Strange New Worlds to feature the Gorn.
Now I will argue.
Oh, actually, well, I forgot about the Gorn in Enterprise.
I will argue, and burn me at the stake as much as you may want to, if you don't like this comparison.
You hate this episode.
I will argue that this episode was done far better in the later seasons of Voyager.
And I will argue that you are full of crap.
Okay.
Because I think this episode was freaking awesome.
But because it has an interesting general plot line, I'm not going to beat it to death.
And this episode did it 20 years earlier.
But it is a little rough around a lot of edges.
This is the episode with the people sitting at the thing in the
the Gorn that doesn't talk.
Yeah.
And it's a bunch of people trapped in like a time bubble warp thing.
It's a pocket universe.
Yeah.
And which is a real concept that Stephen Hawking wrote about.
Yeah.
So they're trapped in a pocket universe along with Kor, a Klingon from the original series.
Yeah.
And a Klingon that would appear again in Deep Space Nine. Mm-hmm. And so and they have to work together to get out of the time trap. So, which, I thought that was cool. I thought that
there's another episode where it's a theme of a higher being is forcing two opposing alien species, in this case, Terrans and Klingons, to work together, get along, or die, kind of thing.
Well, except that there's not a higher being forcing them to do it. They're just trapped.
No, they're just trapped, and it's like that episode of Voyager where there's the void.
Who set the trap? But who sets the trap?
Nobody. It's
nobody.
It's
just
a natural phenomenon.
Yeah, it's just.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they just waltzed into it by accident.
Now there is a massive canon problem in that we do see the first warp-capable ship that was trapped there.
Yeah.
And so
it was a class of ship, I think, is what the reference was. But
do you have it in your book there, Danny?
Have what in the book?
The comments about this episode.
There was a ship.
Canon alert.
That they find inside the time trap that was one of the first Federation ships that could go warp.
Let's see. It does have a canon alert. Let's see what it says. The canon alert. It has nothing. It has to do with Kor. Kor would return to Star Trek 3 more times after his appearance in the time trap. It would be 21 years before we saw the Klingon legend pop up on Deep Space Nine in his third appearance. One more into the breach, he regaled Klingons with his adventures on the cloth.
Yeah, I was hoping maybe they were going to talk about the ship.
But they don't mention the ship.
So I agree with Signed Book Collector that this is more a B than an A for me, because
I think it's an A, and I think you're full of crap. But Danny,
I know.
What did you think, Danny?
Well, I wanted to share, before you asked me, I was chuckling at something. So do you know the star date of this episode?
Not off the top of my head, no.
All right, hold up. You'll get a kick out of this. Captain's log. Star date 52.2. That's it.
Star date 52.
So hold up. So
this takes place when Captain Kirk was before he was born.
So hold up. This is a great example of Shatner phoning it in, and he couldn't bother to re-record. So under a section called Whoops, William Shatner made a recording faux pas as the actor left off the final 2 start date numbers. The complete start date should have been 5264.2.
Oops.
Yeah, that's what it says. Oops. I don't know. This was I like the fact that they bring back Kor. I like. I was thinking more toward an A personally. What did you guys say?
You get outvoted then, Jason.
Well, dang it! I was B, and
okay. So Michael said A too.
Michael says A as well. So I'm outvoted. The reason why I wouldn't bother to say much about Kor is because at this point, timeline wise, he hasn't been in everything.
No, but he was in an episode.
Yeah, he was in the one where, and it's funny because this is the same Klingon. No, it was. Isn't this the same Klingon that Kirk had to get along with when they were with the what are they called, the Organians or whoever?
Well, they were both fighting the Organians so they could fight.
So
Yeah, and then they
so it's
laughed
kind of
at them. Yeah.
yeah, and this is a kind of funny parallel
Yeah.
to that. Now that I think about it, yeah.
All right, so next up, another returning character, Harry Mudd.
Mud's
in
passion.
Mud's Passion.
Wasn't a really
This
big
one
fan
gets
of
a
this
little
episode.
down and dirty for a kid's show right here.
Yeah,
Yeah, a
Wasn't
little
really
bit
a
of
fan.
little bit of absinthe, a little bit of rock monster,
Yeah.
a little bit of phasers that are more powerful than a starship.
Is it just me, or I mean, if it wasn't the same guy, it sure sounded like the same guy.
It was.
Oh yeah, it was. It's
It
the same
was?
actor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he must have been in a bargain basement right then.
Well, a lot of the guest stars were uncredited, which means that they probably were not paid.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And so, yeah, like Mark Leonard when he's in Yesteryear, no credit.
Yeah, I remember when we watched that together. I really do wish we'd have finished that, but I messed that one up, so never mind.
Anyway,
But,
so Mud's Passion is actually a decent episode, but it's very adult. To be, to be on a Saturday morning cartoon, which I know,
It gets a little rapey too. Hey, Nurse Chapel,
Nurse Chapel,
yeah.
roofies Spock.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
what the?
Straight up roofies Spock.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, it's not exactly the kind of message I'd want to send children.
Well, but I'm not rating this based on whether or not I would want. This is a good message for.
Oh my
kids.
God, that's so funny. So this one's got a couple extra pages too. Instead of something for the kids, this one says definitely not for the kids.
I will. I would totally take an A, and the reason is because this
Oh my God.
this episode is better than The Naked Now.
Here's a quote. Here's a direct quote by Scotty from this episode. I got a hangover to shame all previous hangovers, and I didn't even touch a drop of scotch.
Hey kids, want to know what scotch is? Ask your parents.
What's a hangover,
Yeah.
mommy?
Yeah.
I say it's an A. I really, I was surprised how good this episode really was. And in fact, this is one of Harry Mudd's better schemes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And not only that, I love the fact that, like, the way that Harry surrenders at the beginning because he's about to get clobbered by the crowd, So.
Yeah, that's so Harry Mudd. Yeah. No, I actually would totally agree with A.
Yeah.
How's the chat doing? Because I can't see him.
We got
Thomas definitely said C. He was not nearly
like
as
it,
impressed
huh?
with it. No.
Ben says A. Sign Book Collector says A. Mom says A. Ervik Saunders says, "Look, it's the return of Trek Ron Jeremy."
Yeah, that's about right. Kirk, oh boy. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, and then
Ervik says A. Anthony Mark says so. Yeah, A.
This is one I keep forgetting what happened in this one, so it must not be one of the best ones. But Once Upon a Planet. Oh yeah, that's the return to.
That's the amusement park.
The amusement park planet.
Yeah.
Which I thought was just another AI goes mad.
Yep.
And here's the problem. It's like we're sitting there going, oh, another AI goes mad. But this was made before Terminator. This was
but at this point,
but at this point in Star Trek, how many
it's like
times?
the 7th time they've done AI.
Yeah.
Yes, I know, but I'm just saying this is before it became.
I haven't even looked it up in my book yet, and I'd say C for this one.
But that's the problem. Like, it's like, stop going back to the same well. Like, you might as well just be nukes
But
and
come
sinister guys.
But hey, don't tell me you didn't get the feels when Sulu was having a picnic with the dragon.
No.
Not at all. not at all.
No.
That was like the dumbest shot I think ever.
Although it does predict what modern day
goes Alice.
drones look like.
Yeah.
Yeah, because those crazy little drones look
They look
awfully
a lot
like a lot of like DJI stuff did at one point.
Yeah.
So
So what do you think? C?
yeah, I would only go with C. For me, this craziness with the abuse, even this early on in the sci-fi world from the 60s into the 70s of like
AI going
AI. I'm
God.
just like, geez, man.
The canon alert in this episode deals with Discovery, so I'm not even getting into it.
Oh, what really? What does it say?
Super
Super
chat.
chat. Get a closer. I'm sorry, Thomas. I'm sorry. It's because I'm sitting in the other chair and I haven't moved the mic stand, so I apologize. All right, so
Excuse me.
yeah, right into the microphone there. Thanks.
Do you want to know what the Discovery canon context?
Yes. What is
alert
the?
thing was?
Yeah.
All right. Fine. Spock's mention of his mother's love for Lewis Carroll and his familiarity with Alice in Wonderland
Okay,
got
yeah,
a shout
that's
out
it.
from Star
That's-
Trek Discovery. Context is for kings. Okay. Yeah.
Oh,
Yep,
okay.
I remember that. And in fact, that's something that I talked about when that episode first aired. Is like, hey, people that say they never watched an episode of Star Trek, Spock's mother was into Lewis Carroll. So, anyway, next up is Jason's favorite episode, but I think I'm going to say this is the only question I have is F or F minus.
Uh-oh, which one of these is it?
The magics of
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
That starts
easily the
at
worst.
F, and we can bargain it down from there.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say F.
So,
Yeah, this is
crew,
just
the crew of the Enterprise go to the center of the galaxy, and they think they're going to meet God, but they actually meet Satan. But then,
They help him.
They become his pal.
Because it's
Yeah.
not really. Wow, go to this. This sounds a lot like Star Trek V, which also sucked.
It is Star
Yeah.
Trek V. I mean, honestly, it is Star Trek V.
But with the truthful critter in the middle instead of the guy who's lying.
Yeah.
The lying god.
Yeah. So do you want the lying god or the?
Oh yeah, and then they
Satan?
learn magic. That's very true.
They
Ben
all
One Eye.
yeah. They all learn magic,
Yeah.
and Kirk saves Satan.
Yeah.
Lucian.
Ooh, signed book collector goes right to the F minus.
Oh, I mean, I don't want to give something Star Trek F minus. It's not Discovery.
We already did.
Did we?
Yeah, there was something from last week. I think.
And the children
Oh.
shall leave.
Yeah, we
Okay.
punched it right in the face.
All right. Well then, okay. I would actually go with F minus.
Yeah.
And you want to hear the whoops in this episode? It's kind of silly.
I mean, there's
So,
something they did right.
No, yeah, right. When Lucian first takes McCoy to his realm, McCoy notes that if he could give him a medical update on himself if he had his medical tricorder. However, he's actually wearing his medical tricorder while saying it.
Oh.
It's like,
Oh yeah, on the animation side of things, I could tell you there was a few times, especially in season 2 episodes, where people would magically have a thing and then not have a thing.
Yeah.
And then there's a special box that said, "You said what on a kid show?" In the quote is from Lucian: "All our women are as young and beautiful as they want to be. So as to ensnare the man of her dreams, she needs an edge."
But you know,
F minus.
F minus.
I'll defend that line though because yes, I'm go. You can't see it because I'm in the way.
You're in the way. Yeah.
But let's see.
You could put it. Yeah. Okay.
Go to Jason. There. All right, so I would defend that line because it's brutally honest.
Well, what do you think of this line as a Christian? This is the quote from Spock here. This would be the second. This would be the second time that Lucifer was cast out, and thanks to you, the first time he was saved.
Well, that's what I said. Kirk saved Satan.
Yeah,
It's just,
I'm just curious. Like,
Well, I know you weren't here when me and Jason watched it, but one of the things this is the first time that Star Trek went into a definitively anti-Christian mode. And so before this, Christianity in Star Trek was treated as a positive thing.
yeah.
This is the first time it was not. This is the first time they basically made it sound like, okay, the Christians have it all wrong. Satan is the good guy.
oh wow, oh this is. I don't know if it would have made the episode better, but originally that character was supposed to be God, but NBC brass voiced their disapproval and forced them to change it to the devil. But in fact, they made them change the name the devil to Lucian, because that was actually the name and was called the devil by the 17th century humanity. It was not really actually the devil from the Bible, although people had no idea. Wow. So that was like,
Well, I think it would have been worse if they tried to say that was
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, no kidding.
yeah, right? Yeah.
Kirk saves God. Oh,
Yeah.
man. I would.
That's
Yeah.
funny. Interesting.
So there we go. Our F- of the group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Should be
The
the only one.
Infinite Vulcan by Walter Koenig.
Walter needs to just stick to acting.
This one's got lots of tentacles. Lots of tentacles.
Yeah.
All the natives of this planet have tentacles, and their
Yep.
flying creatures have tentacles.
They're plant people.
Wasn't this one of the ones we watched together?
Yeah.
I want to
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, with the giant
Yeah.
Spock, because we'd seen the episode of Lower Decks where the giant Spock was in the.
Yeah, his skeleton was in
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
menagerie there. So yeah, this one, it's not bad, but it's not. It's just
No, it's like a C or a weak B.
yeah, I'm kind of there too. What do you think, Danny? You get to be the deciding vote.
All
here.
right.
Oh
hold up.
man,
So,
chat hates the episode.
yeah?
yeah, I mean, because I was gonna say D, but
Where's
I-
the
damn, the chat's roasting it.
Yeah,
F minus,
I wouldn't go
F,
higher than a
F,
C
F.
then, really.
Oh no, I mean I said D, but
No, but
anyway.
I'm saying like, well, Mike and I were slightly higher than your D, so C would be like the very highest it can go.
I think with all those
Oh,
F's in the
alright,
chat, me
alright,
saying
we're
bring it to D.
Yeah.
All right, all right.
I don't think it was that bad, but
Yeah.
All right, next up, more tribbles, more troubles.
What? How does that even happen again?
Another
Actually, this is a good episode.
yeah, another
It was
uncredited.
decent.
Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was a good follow up to Trouble with Tribbles.
Yeah.
And I think that they got the guy that played Cyrano Jones back.
Yeah.
And, and he did a good job.
And when I remember we watched this, you pointed out he was also uncredited.
Yeah.
So
So probably didn't get paid. No, I liked it. I enjoyed it. I would give this one an A, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a very solid A. Yeah.
oh yeah, at least an A.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, at
All right,
least.
so we are all in agreement on that one.
Oh, at the chat we got S from Thomas Potts. Planet X says A. Ben One Eye says A.
Yeah.
A is a good score for this.
I have a special treat for you for this next one.
Oh my.
Yeah. So for this, The Survivor is the first episode of Star Trek to feature the Vendorians, shape-shifting tentacle monsters. Yes, we are only 6 episodes into the animated series, and this is the third to feature tentacles. The Vendorian is pretending to be Carter Winston, so they start out by making it clear that there is no money in the Federation.
Carter Winston has acquired a dozen fortunes.
The entire population would have starved, Jim, if Winston here hadn't used his personal fortune to bring in enough food and goods to carry them through the crisis.
One of the many stories I've heard about you, Mr. Winston.
Then the Vendorian tells the girl that he loves that he can never be with her, and then sneaks into Kirk's quarters and are we sure this is a children's show?
There might have been some liberal order of tentacle laying down this editing in that video.
So yes, yet another tentacle episode, The Survivor. I thought that, okay, first of all, the Vendorians I thought were interesting. I do like that they finally made a comeback in Lower Decks.
Yes.
I mean, I would give this like a B plus A minus.
Yeah, I like them way more than the plant creatures from the Infinite Vulcan.
Right.
So, yeah, A, B, somewhere in that neighborhood.
All right, let's go A because I would say it a solid A. You guys are both on the fence, so here we go. plus, for all my extra work.
Planet X goes, I'll go A just for the tentacles.
All right, next up, yeah.
Yep, and D.
Oh, you did a video about this one.
Yeah, this is the one that came out today.
Yeah.
Did you actually watch the video?
I thought I did. No, I don't know. It says I gave it a thumbs up. So why don't you play it for us?
You're making me work. All right.
Yeah.
What a jerk you are. What was that? Oh, movie night with Matthew. All right. Let's see. Come out of full screen mode and remove. Yes. And
This is the girl power episode.
oh, yes, it is.
One chick looks like She-Ra.
All right.
Yeah.
The Lorelei signal tells the story of how hot, scantily clad women hum into their microphones and hypnotize men to allow them to drain their life force. When we see the women, it becomes clear that they were the prototypes of another race of hyper-horny women in Star Trek.
Very
Make
nice.
love at the drop of a hat.
Any hat. Sounds wonderful for the children.
Man, the animated series was truly ahead of its time. The effect of having the toxic masculinity sucked out of them makes the men very, very old. But Spock and Scotty reprogrammed the transporter to simply beam them back into perfect health, and thus proving the animated series is ahead of its time again, and the transporter can fix literally anything. I'm sure that they'll use that over and over.
Yeah.
And this is a children's show.
This was the second. These are really good shorts, Michael. By the way, I anticipate that they'll serve the channel very well. That's the second episode we've already discussed today. Where the
Where the
Yeah,
transporter
yeah.
fixed them. And it's not the last. I think there's
No.
another- yeah. So yeah, the Lorelei signal. Man, what do you say?
I actually didn't hate this. I remember watching this with you. In fact, I believe if you guys go to supportsalty.com, you can watch the video of us, the three of us watching this together. And I remember enjoying it. I think I would go B-.
I think
C+.
you just enjoyed it because it's a planet full of horny women.
Well, I have been single 10 months. Thank you for correcting me, by the way, yesterday on that.
I took some time off your clock for you.
Yeah.
So Danny's thinking B. What are you thinking?
For me, it's
Aravic says B. Ben One Eye says D.
it's like a strong
those are the only
C.
two
It
votes.
isn't really that bad. It would probably have made a better 1 hour episode than a 30-minute. But
Let's see what it says if it's for the kids.
I got to docket a few points for the gigantically massive mistake of combining red and blue outfits on the same person.
Oh, it actually says this teaches children two great lessons. One, women are capable of leading, and two, all life is precious.
Hey, that's true. That is some great lessons learned. Women are incapable of leading. Is that what you said?
No, women are capable of leading.
At the
and all
time, I
life is
think
precious.
I think women still had to get a co-signer on a credit card at that time, so it was.
Yeah. I know some people say it's woke, but this is really when that kind of thing was appropriate because of what was going on in society.
Yeah, exactly. So I'd be fine
wasn't
if
that
you put
what-
it as a B.
Okay. Aravic says B. Signed book collector says D. You are just. He must just be a chauvinist.
He hates women. That's
No, if you wait, Gorilla, he actually says that they were also an Enterprise like a little later. So Gorilla's
Next up
behind.
is
He's way behind.
one of our planets is missing.
This is SETI Alpha 5.
That'd be funny.
Not that planet.
It would be funny though.
This is another one I believe we watched together, right?
Yeah, we
I
did.
believe.
Yeah. This is
Again,
the cloud.
support-
This is the crazy cloud monster
Yeah,
one.
supportsalty.com. Guys,
We're
check it
covering
out.
One
Check
of
them
Our
out.
Planets is Missing, or its original title, Star Trek The Motion Picture, The First Draft. In this episode, a giant cloud destroys everything in its path, is heading into Federation space. The Enterprise is the only ship in interception range.
We are the only vessel in the vicinity of the phenomenon.
The only starship in interception range is the Enterprise.
Spock mind melds with the cloud, and they finally talk the cloud out of destroying humans, who it did not even think were really life forms.
They are beings, alive.
That is not logical. Carbon units are not true life forms.
But it's not all the same as Star Trek The Motion Picture. This episode also includes the idea that the giant cloud swallows the Enterprise, so they need to escape through the cloud's
Butthole.
space butthole.
Yeah, I remember you saying this when we watched it together.
Is a children's show. Oh, did I mention the tentacles? Because there's tentacles.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember watching this and the comparisons made. Like,
This
that's
is
funny.
actually a really good episode of the original series. Yes, I make fun of some stuff, but honestly, the parallels to Star Trek: The Motion Picture only complement it, because this came
After the fact, yeah.
this came before Star Trek: The Motion
Yeah.
Picture.
Yeah.
I actually think this is a solid A. Personally,
I would go as high as S tier on this one.
Oh wow.
I think this was because this holds up. If you made this into an hour-long live-action episode,
It would be a solid episode for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would. I'll allow. I would agree with an A or an S on this one.
All right. So what does the
so-
chat say? 'Cause
we'll do. I could do S.
what's the chat saying on this one?
Nothing
no
yet.
scores rolled in yet. Anthony says he enjoyed it. Michael says it reminded him of the Immunity Syndrome a lot.
So according to there's a section in this part
Yeah.
that's not in the others. It's called Deja Vu. Mysterious space clouds, planetary destruction. These elements were used in previous episodes of TOS, including the Daniels helmed The Doomsday Machine. The trope would also be revisited often as the franchise made the transition to feature films, as well as its subsequent spin-offs. Star Trek: The Motion Picture and Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home both contained unknown space phenomenon endangering all life on Earth.
That's not very well written. Because the Doomsday Machine and the Whale Probe are nothing like a giant cloud.
No.
I'm sorry. I got to disagree with the writer.
Yeah.
there.
Anthony
that's
gave
fine.
it an A for a score. So yeah.
This was written by Aaron Harvey and Rich Scheipes, so take it up with them.
Well, I'm just telling you, I disagree with that one. So are we giving it A or S?
Well, we don't have any S's yet. And you
Well,
both said S,
All right.
so I'll allow it.
I'm glad you'll allow that. All right, next up, Yesteryear, S+.
Yeah.
Oh, S plus easily.
Just
Yeah,
a
yeah.
lock. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no way you know.
Yeah.
There
it
is
would
no
be it
argument.
would be impressive to see this, although I'd be terrified because it's the be careful of what you wish for problem.
Yeah.
I would love to see this redone
Yeah.
Well, you know,
into a longer format,
as
but
far as the Beavis and Butthead scene,
yeah,
they did redo that for Star Trek 2009.
true.
Yeah.
The little bowl of fighting, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that is where they drew the inspiration from that.
Yeah.
JJ said that. But the the fact that a Saturday morning kids show in 1973 featured the death of a pet.
Yeah,
in
we talked about that at length
Now,
the day we
and-
reviewed this episode.
In fact, Anthony, I remember Anthony saying the same thing when we were doing our review, and it made him cry because, like, as a
Yeah.
kid watching this, when Spock's
When
Giant.
Ichaya dies, it's like, holy
Yeah.
crap, I did not see that coming.
Yeah.
And and then I do like the idea that since Spock said he does not remember Ichaya dying, we have an alternate timeline.
Oh, well, there's some more for your timeline
Yeah. So
videos.
that's the creation of a timeline somehow,
Yeah.
or the permanent alteration of the timeline.
Yeah.
And that was like, I was theorizing that might be why we have, like, Star Trek The Motion Picture seems so different than the other Star Trek films.
Right.
So, like, one of those is from the Ichaya Lives timeline, and the others are from the Ichaya Dies timeline.
Yeah.
All right. So, next up, I think this is another one that was a solid TOS episode in animated form. Even though, yes, it has its cheesiness because of the limitations of the animated series. And that is Beyond the Furthest Star, the very first episode.
Mm-hmm.
It was hard sci-fi. I think it was interesting. And, of course, we find out later that this was the prequel to Star Trek V.
Well, it also
Which
introduced
short
a
for this
giant
one also.
problem, too, though. This was where the life support belts came into play.
Yeah, this is the first episode to feature the life support belts. Which
I remember us discussing was more because it was cheaper than them drawing spacesuits
Right.
or whatever.
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm thinking that Star Trek The Motion Picture is the timeline in which Ichaya lives, because in Star Trek The Motion Picture, they have life support belts. But in Star Trek,
remember you tell. Yeah, I remember
but in Star
pointing
Trek
that
2,
out.
they don't. Why wouldn't you have people wearing life support belts?
But they never really used them in the motion picture. They were just there.
No, but you know what? The funny thing is that, like, the very first movie tie-in to McDonald's Happy Meals was Star Trek: The Motion Picture.
Yes.
And I had those boxes. Let me tell you, and the boxes did actually point out that those were life support belts.
Oh,
They
did
did.
they? Oh,
Yes.
interesting.
Okay.
So, but yeah, the not to mention the fact that everybody's such a wuss in the Star Trek: The Motion Picture universe because Ichaya lived, so they didn't know how to deal with death. And look how cold Spock was in that. It's because he never, he didn't learn to grow.
Yeah.
All right, so
Face your fears.
All right, I know it's too little, too late, but if you guys want to repost it, I just got that tweet up. Sorry.
So what are we going to do for Beyond the Furthest Star?
Furthest Star. Well, I enjoyed this. I enjoyed watching it with you guys. I thought it was fun. Didn't it? Like this one have tentacles in it again? I can't remember.
No.
Yes, it did.
Did it?
Yes.
I think it did.
It's the aliens.
Play your short, because if
Yeah,
it does,
yeah,
you probably point it out in your short.
You're making me do all the work here. All right, so video share, and add scene. Hi, it's Michael J. Crawford here, and welcome to Journey Through Star Trek, the animated series. We start our series with Beyond the Furthest Star. In this episode, things happen. No, really, that's the best I can do. The Enterprise happens to be star charting where a dead star happens to be and pulls the Enterprise with its hypergravity.
I can only describe it as hypergravity, Captain.
And the star happens to have a ship trapped there. Well, this warning
Tentacles,
from the Predator people
right there.
is...
Oh, yeah,
only
yeah, the
safe until the room
interconnectedness.
explodes and then the
Yeah.
room explodes. The monster gets onto the Enterprise, and despite its godlike powers, Kirk tricks the monster by putting a belt on the control panel. And we end with the episode realizing that Kirk just set up the monster for Star Trek V.
What does God need with a starship?
Oh, and the Predator aliens apparently like tentacles.
More tentacles.
This
Yeah, more tentacles.
is a children's show.
See, after watching that, that's an A. I'm voting
Yeah,
A.
I'm fine. I'm good with an A. I think it would make a really solid episode if it was done as a. What is going on?
I don't know. That's weird. Why is it doing
It's stuck on top of everything.
that? How do I? Let's try share video.
I
There you
deleted
go.
it for you.
Oh, you got it. You got it. Okay. Cancel that. All right. All right. So you're saying A.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what
All
it
right.
is.
All right.
Chat says A as well.
All right. So coming down, we got the 3 left, and they're all favorites of Jason.
Oh boy, here we go.
All right.
this
So
will
next
be
up,
fun.
let's see. Which one should we do first? It's so tough. Okay, we'll do this one. The counterclock incident.
Ooh,
Okay, so
the
this
finale.
this episode if this show is canon, then the entire Enterprise series is impossible.
Well, it's in another universe.
Oh yeah, it has to be.
Yeah.
Because Admiral April's wife served on the first warp-capable ship.
No, she didn't.
Yes, she did. It is in dialogue. She was the
No.
medical
I mean,
she said she was the medical.
I know.
She was the medical officer on the first warp-capable ship.
Yeah, that would have been Phlox. So.
Yeah.
No, it was not, because the
They didn't do their
Enterprise.
homework.
That wasn't even the first warp-capable ship.
Yeah.
The Enterprise was just the first Warp 5 ship.
Oh,
Yeah,
you're right. That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
this episode really breaks a lot.
Now, maybe
of stuff.
if she's 180 years old, it's possible.
And it was, for me, it was just the whole backwards forwards universe makes no conceivable sense whatsoever. I just found the idea of this story stupid, like insultingly stupid.
Yeah,
for
I thought
science
the reverse
fiction.
universe was an interesting idea. Like, I like the idea of a white universe with black stars, where and that kind of thing. But
when they did
It's like
people
the
start out fully grown and know everything and go backwards.
That doesn't make
Benjamin
any sense.
Button.
Yeah. Like that doesn't.
Benjamin Button's aging makes no sense, because it's
Yeah.
like, how do you give birth to an 80-year-old? Or does he just like rise out of a grave?
He just like pops into existence.
And then when he's a little kid, he gets sucked up into his mom. But the problem there is, what if he dies before that?
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
By the way, this writer went on to write Menage a Troy
That makes sense.
and The Game.
Which one was the game? Oh, is that the one where everybody got addicted
the one with
to that
the-
game?
yeah.
with the addiction and the eyes and the
So, I mean, C at best.
this is an easy D for me.
All right. What are you thinking, Danny? And where's the chat at?
We got F, C, and those are the only two votes in the chat so far.
Well, F and C would average to a D.
All right, let's do D.
All right.
Oh, Jeremy says D.
All right.
All right, well, there we go. We're on agreement.
Jeremy D says D.
All right. Next
It
up,
gets the D.
Double D.
speaking of getting the D, McCoy gets the D in this one.
It's got that D energy.
Albatross.
This episode fundamentally makes no sense to me at all. It's just random accusation to cause episode to happen.
Right. Yeah, I love the fact that it starts out with them. Oh, thank you so much for your help, and now we're going to arrest your doctor. Huh?
What
Yeah.
started the plague?
Yeah.
Which just makes no kind of sense. And then they find out it's like was it like a solar flare plague?
Yeah, well, it's like an aurora in space.
Yeah, which is caused by a solar flare, of course.
Yeah.
It's
But
like-
not in space. There's no such thing as an aurora in space, because it's solar energy reacting with the atmosphere.
Well, no, but that's what the aurora is caused by a solar flare kicking off.
Right, but
So
It
it's just
It does have one of the funniest lines McCoy's ever said.
which one's that?
Was Jim, next time I'm in jail, don't send that Vulcan to get me. Just let me rot.
oh yeah. That's a very Bones line.
I'm paraphrasing, of course. But
So, anything that your book has to defend this episode?
let's see.
'Cause
This
I
one
don't.
was based
I thought this
all
episode
life.
was a dumpster fire.
Yeah, I mean, it's got the minimal amount of stuff. Yeah, I mean, there's not really anything in it. This is a. Gosh. I think D. What did you guys say? I'm thinking D.
I haven't said anything yet, but yeah, D. I'm fine with. I would even go F.
I wouldn't go F.
It's not F. It's just D for bad plot elements.
Right. But speaking of F, How sharper than a serpent's
Oh
tooth.
wow, this is F. This is F.
Yeah.
All the way F.
Yeah.
I didn't even get 5 minutes into this episode, and like I hate this episode.
Hey, Ensign Walking Bear, who
Yeah,
happens to be on the
exactly.
bridge.
That's exactly. Oh, it was worse than just the name. It's the fact that magically the indigenous person happens to know everything about everything in the Western Hemisphere.
Well, and then of course we get our standard. The ancient cultures of Earth couldn't have possibly built the great structures that they built because they were too stupid.
Yeah, and also the serpent's tooth creature thing is dumb as a rock. For it to not understand that its children were able to actually go completely interstellar, and he's all, oh, you're unworthy and da da da. What?
Did this episode really win an Emmy?
Are you serious?
That's what this book is saying.
For what?
Outstanding Entertainment Children's Series.
Wow.
What?
Somebody in the Academy. But you know what it was? Because they included Native American culture.
Oh, probably. This was the era in which not a Native American woman, by the way, she was not, accepted an award on the behalf of what's his name?
Go ahead. I'll read it after you're done.
I can't think of his name. Buddy from the Godfather movies. The main actor.
Bart Brando?
Yeah, Marlon Brando wouldn't go and accept an award, and this was in the 70s. And
because of
she's
John
not.
Wayne's
she's not an Indian.
Right, but she pretended she was.
Yeah.
So here, let me read this. And the Emmy goes to the animated series TAS earned Star Trek its first Emmy Award for Outstanding Children's Program of the 74-75 season. How Sharper Than a Serpent's Tooth was the episode submitted to the Academy. It remains the franchise's lone non-technicolor production Emmy. It just blows my mind, Weiss said of the episode securing the award. Bates and Wise also won the 1975 Peabody Award for this episode. That's crazy.
That is stupid. So
that's just crazy.
Remember, write a racist episode and you'll get lots of awards.
Apparently.
Wow.
So
I was going to say D, but it's an Emmy winner. Oh, you want to put it in F.
Oh, I hate this episode with an undying passion. And I've only seen it once.
I mean, come on, just having an Ensign Walking Bear on the bridge when the Native American god shows up. I mean, why didn't they have, some Greek officer on the bridge when Apollo grabbed him?
Right.
That made no sense whatsoever.
Wow.
Yeah, what is the chat saying? Because,
Anthony says D or F serpent.
F to serpent.
Yeah. And then we've got nothing else to chat. It's quiet at the moment.
You guys need to talk more.
We're a little shy today. We're only at 26 today.
Not only that, that's because I forgot to blast it out everywhere, which is my bad. But at the beginning, a few people said that they wouldn't be participating much because they hadn't seen.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, not everybody's seen all the episodes, so
yeah.
So
Arabic says F. Yeah, so
there you go. There's the animated series, a clearly average series. Looking at it's absolutely
middle of the road.
Yeah.
If we look at how it runs down with the rest of the original series stuff.
Yeah, it definitely gathers in the middle more than anywhere.
Yeah. But notice, it's funny because season 3 is the only season to get multiple Fs. This and the animated series has 2. But season 3 has 3.
Yeah.
So...
Well, really, if you average everything out, it looks like season 4 is our least favorite. If you look at the averages.
Well, that's the thing. Like, it's the problem is,
Super chat.
and thank you so much, Alex. I appreciate it, buddy. What does he say? I can't quite read that.
Y'all racist for not liking Serpent's Tooth. LOL.
Well, no, they're racist in the way they wrote Serpent's Tooth.
Yeah.
Well, somebody in the chat said, Mike Richards, here it is, says the Indian rights movement was big at that time.
Oh yeah, we're talking about the same time that they were doing the like the Native American PSA, looking at the garbage and crying.
Yeah, who also, by the way, was not a Native American.
So I mean I get that it was Miramani wasn't either. So there's that.
No, I know, but it's just like they can't even help themselves. It's like they're just yeah. It's almost like an SNL skit the way they handled that back in the 70s.
So I think that and the funny thing is that like with the animated series, it didn't hit the highs that the original series did, but it didn't really sink that low either. And that's why it just came out very, very average.
Mm-hmm.
So would you argue, okay, yeah, technically, I guess we liked it the least of all the seasons, but it's really that we just didn't like it as much. It's not that we disliked it.
Which makes sense because, first of all, it's animated. Second of all, the episodes are like a third of the length.
Right.
And thirdly, supposedly it was kind of written for kids or made as a kids show. So
yeah. The length,
feel like
I
it
think,
tracks.
is probably one of the biggest kneecaps on several of the episodes.
Yeah.
That's really that's a stinker.
And Stan Lee said there's some dude with earrings and a female military uniform at Congress today. I didn't hear about that.
Yeah.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
Too busy living my life and worrying about my problems to.
Yeah, I when did the military become a social experiment? That's what I want.
That's an excellent question, but unfortunately, it's been pretty rough for a few years now. So, and it's even worse up on this side of the border. So.
Well, Canada is a trans country. We all know that. Because you think you're Americans.
We self-identify as whatever won't get us yelled at in Europe.
Let's see. I'm trying to look up this trans soldier.
It's an Air Force officer.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was at the Pentagon.
So it's an Air Force?
Yeah, I think it was an Air Force officer.
Air Force officer. That's from 2 years ago. Yeah, I don't see anything from today.
It's sometime this week, but it's pedantic in the sense that it's not like
transgender Space Force Colonel.
There we go. That's what it is. Space Force. It wasn't Air Force. Yeah,
well, that's from a month ago.
Yeah, it's just it started making the rounds on Twitter today for some reason.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a dude.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean,
that's the
dude
thing.
looks like a lady.
No,
I have to.
Dude looks like a dude. That's the thing.
Gentlemen, I need to be excused for a few minutes. I'll be back.
Okay. Yeah, it's Have you seen your guys? Was it the It's not chief medical officer for the country, but was it the Surgeon General or whatever? Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
I mean, that does not look like,
No. No, it doesn't.
And yes, Stan, that is a female uniform. But you know, and unfazed by the online hate. So brave of him.
Yeah.
And that's, you see, what gets me about this stuff is that, you know, they say, oh, you know, they bravely face the hate. The only reason they're facing hate is because they're shoving themselves out there.
Yeah.
You know, and so I don't think it's you know, brave to say, hey, everybody, look at me, and then act like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they're looking at me.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, it's annoying.
Yeah.
It's ma'am.
Have you ever seen that?
Yeah, yes, but he could actually say that.
Yeah.
Because if legally you're, you know.
No, I know, but still, like, it's the biggest temper tantrum. It's like,
And that's, yeah, exactly. That's my thing, Stan, is that the very purpose of being in the military is to conform. It's not about standing out and being you. You know, you are a cog in a machine. And, you know, just doing this is just trying to stand out. Because, you know, honestly, if someone was that Danny's blind date, I could be. that is a distinct possibility. The thing about something like this is that, you know, if some dude really thinks he's a woman, gets the surgery, legally transitions, and then joins the military as, you know, a woman, okay, fine. But then, you know what you shouldn't do? You shouldn't have news reports about the transgender person. Because the whole point will be to blend in, to just be a woman. And so I that's what I don't understand. Is like, really, like, I've known a couple of people very closely, actually, that were trans. And, of course, we didn't call it trans back then. We just said, I can't remember, you know, whatever. But I don't remember what the right word was. But I knew a guy who was born a woman, had the surgery, did the whole 9 yards. But you know what he didn't do? He didn't run around telling everybody how he used to be a woman.
well, the way we would refer to it back in the day, it would have been transvestite.
No, transvestite is a person who dresses as the opposite sex.
No, but that's basically what everybody.
Right, but
no, I know, but that's what
actually
everybody would generally say. Would be
Right.
So. I know what you're saying, but like generally, that like most people would say it that way.
And Alex says, I slept through Magus 2. What did it get? It got an F-.
Yeah.
You weren't there to defend it. So I think it's stupid to basically call attention to yourself by saying, hey, everybody, look at me for my gender identity. You know, what would make a bigger difference is if this colonel had some great achievement as a colonel. I don't give a crap about the fact that he thinks he's a girl.
Yeah.
But Stanley says, are there tomboy trans women, guys who identify as women but prefer to present as traditional males? Well, do they exist? I mean, out of the billions of people, I'm sure there's at least one. But Alex says the only first sergeant that liked me ended up being gay. Okay, so again, I don't care about, you know, that's the problem. I don't care about your sexual identity. I don't care about your, you know, your sexual preferences. I really don't give a crap. As far as if you're in the military, what I care about is, are you capable of defending this country? That's the only thing I care about.
Yeah, exactly. It's the classic, I want the best pilot that's flying me from here to Albuquerque.
Right.
I want the best doctor that's working on my heart. I don't care if you wear purple hair in the starry midnight fog, as long as you are the best heart surgeon. Game on.
Right. But this kind of crap, I mean, this is just stupid. And
Super
Alex
chat.
with a $1.99 super chat says, Magus, he's talking about Magus
Yeah.
too. At least a creative concept needs polish.
Well, you know, you can polish a turd technically.
Yes.
The Mythbusters did prove that. So
Did they really?
you know,
Did they polish a turd?
they made a solid compacted turd and they polished it, and it shined.
Why am I not surprised that they did that? Yeah, and yeah, I don't think that, I think that Megas 2 conceptually, is your phone close to the cords again or something?
Sorry.
Stop doing that. I think Megas 2 conceptually was silly. I think it's as silly as it was in Star Trek V. The idea that you simply go to the center of the galaxy and look, there's God. Or in the case of Megas 2, oh, look, there's Satan. But Satan's really a nice guy.
Yeah.
No thanks.
Yeah, I know it's defective.
You could come up with something way better.
Yeah.
I mean, like Nagilum is a more interesting concept. And so,
yeah, see, I am so annoyed that it didn't turn out that the bad guy in Picard season 3 was like Nagilum or somebody.
Yeah, that would have made more sense.
I would have been, man.
And it could have been that Nagilum, was toying with him all this time, causing lots of stuff that has happened in his life as part of his experiments.
So many good options, and yet.
And what's it? Thomas says, Salty, this is why you missed the point. Liberals don't care about defending the country. This is why we disagree, is that you think they are misguided, while I think say that they're religious zealots. Well, I'm not saying they're misguided. I'm just saying that I don't think that sexual identity is a priority for a soldier. If I'm on the battlefield and I've got my M16 pointed at the bad guys, I don't give a crap whether or not you have a sudden urge to put on lipstick. I want you to have your M16 pointed at the bad guys.
Yeah, well, I want you to know that this is not the time for the lipstick.
Yeah. So that's all I care about. But they already had Q doing that. Well, but you see, they already botched Q in season 2. But Nagilum could have been interesting in that you could have brought back Nagilum and done him with better visual effects this time, and have it turn out that he was toying with Picard like all this time, and Picard has to try to convince Starfleet of this great threat that nobody believes even exists. And people might be thinking he's crazy.
Well, I mean, there were so many other opportunities that they could have pulled from TNG alone, not even reaching into DS9 or Voyager.
Right.
And like they could have used. So if you spread out to all 3 of the Berman era Trek, like the primary Berman era stuff that would apply to Picard, like you've got Nagilum, you got the bugs, you got
Orions.
Yeah, the Orions. You've got Species 8472 could have been brought back into the mix for some piece of storytelling, something. Rather than the stupid space nova vagina thing, you could have actually maybe had the actual giant UFO.
Oh, speaking of space vaginas, hey, Danny, how you doing?
Ha ha ha.
But yeah, it's.
Understand they did bring in the founders. Remember, the founders were just the servants.
They nerfed them in a great sense, that's for sure.
And Stanley asks if Nagilum is more powerful than Q. Their powers. I would say yes. From what we've seen, I would say yes. If you were in Nagilum's lab. Because obviously Nagilum works within a specific, like he's in like another dimension or a higher plane or whatever you want to call it, and he brought the Enterprise there. So I don't know how much Nagilum affects the, our dimension, but if you're in his dimension, oh heck yeah, because he can literally break physics, as we saw. When he had Riker and Worf in the weirded out Enterprise.
Well, and then he up and turned one of the guys on the bridge crew's blood to like
Yeah.
resin or something.
He's like, oh yeah, let me experiment with how you guys die.
Yeah.
And then they just die.
And then what did he say? It was like, oh, it was only going to take like a third or a quarter of the crew before he would be satisfied.
Right, because he wanted to kill people every way that they can die.
Yeah.
Should the animated series have had a proper finale with a return to Earth? No. Why would they return to Earth?
The end of their 5-year mission.
Well,
I think that's what he was getting at.
Oh, well, maybe, yeah.
I mean, I could see them doing it, but at the same time, would kids in the 1970s have cared? Probably not.
No, but what was funny was one of the things I was reading on either Memory Alpha or Wikipedia was that the viewership, the Nielsen viewership, skewed hard towards teens and adults and away from small children.
They totally missed their target audience.
Yeah.
By the way, do you research department? Do you have access to the script for Star Trek: The Motion Picture?
I have never looked it up before. Motion picture script. Got it. What are you looking for?
How long?
This is the shooting script from 1978.
All right. So how long was Kirk working in Starfleet operations? Because remember, he told Decker, or not Decker, but Scotty, something and a half years. May have made me a little stale, but I wouldn't call myself untried. So if you look for the line "untried captain," that's where it'll be. Because Scotty goes, "And an untried captain."
2.5 years as chief of Starfleet Ops.
Right. So what's interesting is how well they fit some of this stuff together, because after the animated series, that was 1974, and it was just a few years later, 1979, that Star Trek: The Motion Picture came out. So it wasn't that big of a break, even though we didn't have live action Star Trek for a decade. There was the animated series in there. And they're saying that Kirk was really only not on a starship for 2.5 years. Or maybe a little longer. Let's see. Look, there's another line in the same movie. Decker says, "You haven't logged a single star hour in something years."
2.5 years. So he just repeats the same basic fact.
So 2.5 years since he was promoted. So there you go.
Yeah.
All right. So with that, so now Danny, you're not going to be here next week, correct?
Yeah.
All right. So, but Jason and I will have some rambunctious content for you that has nothing to do with wrestling. Because, Danny's going to be going on a road trip to Alaska or something, right?
He won't be watching wrestling.